Hi, this is Dylan Brogan. Before we get to today's conversation, CityCast is serving our listeners to help us make CityCast Madison a better, more useful podcast for you. Please go to citycast.fm/survey and you'll be eligible to win a $250 Visa gift card. That's citycast.fm/survey or click the link in our show notes. Today on CityCast Madison. It's the Friday News Roundup. An internal complaint alleges the Madison School District spokesperson ought to be sent to the principal's office. Is local software giant Epic hindering tech startups? And have you heard of the Wisconsin Wombats? CityCast Madison's Molly Stentz is here for a walkabout through this week's news. It's Friday, June 2nd. I'm Dylan Brogan, and here's what Madison's talking about. It's the Great Friday Roundup. Bianca Martin is off this week, but joining me now is the sheriff of this here podcast. It's Molly Stentz. Hi, Molly.
Hey, Dylan. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
How was your assignment?
Good. Got married and everything. It was great.
Well, now, lending further credence to the idea that you and Bianca are indeed the same person and cannot be in the same room. You are back.
What? Oh, that's right.
Gone.
That's true. I didn't know that was a rumor that me and Bianca were the same person. But you're going to have to talk me through that one day. Be quite the trick, whoever's doing it. Must not be me.
Well, we miss Bianca, but we're glad you're back.
Thank you.
And hey, we got some news this week about the Madison School District. I mean, you remember when we talked to Tom Kamenik, the public records attorney?
Of course, yeah. Good episode.
Yeah, so he called the Madison School District the worst government agency in the entire state when it comes to public records, you know, letting the public know what's going on. So people have been complaining about the school district for years. For years. We did not make this up. This is a thing. You can check it out. It can take months, if not years, to get the school district to respond to basic requests for information. And it's gotten so bad that people have to sue them to get action. So now we know a little bit more about what's going on over there, thanks to, well, you guessed it, a lawsuit.
And open records.
Yes. This story brought to you by Open Records. So 3 school district employees had lodged a complaint against the spokesman for the district. And a reporter found out about it and requested a copy, which, you know, one would think this is an official document of the school district, which is a public government entity, which we pay for. We should be entitled to know. But the spokesperson, he refused to hand it over. And then he sued the district to try to keep it a secret, right? So,
well, how'd that go?
Yeah, it didn't work out for him because a Dane County judge ruled on the side of public access and the document was released. And yeah.
It was bad.
It did not look good for him. No good.
It was real bad. So it was the complaint against him and 3 former employees. Okay, so was it as bad as everyone thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I think so. It dated back to 2021. So more than 2 years of problems. And this is not just like, this guy was mean, we don't like him. This was a multi-page, detailed documentation of serious problems occurring at the district with the communication departments over 2 years. I mean, woof. So some of the allegations were things like, you know, they range from unprofessional conduct, like basically demeaning the journalists, the people who it is your job to work with as a communications person for the district.
The head, the main spokesperson.
Yeah, the head of the department, the voice of the school district, one of the largest school districts in our state, right? So he called a female reporter a pig, sleazy, called another one a horrible human being, and that he effing hates them.
Wow.
Things like that. I mean, basically just calling the media aggressive and nasty. Blocking access to the superintendent at public forums, which were there so that the public could be informed about what the school district is doing. Journalists were prevented from talking to the head of the district. There were also allegations of sexism where, he told a female reporter, oh, no, there's a rule. You can't go into the schools on the first day of class, where he didn't say the same thing to a male reporter. So playing favorites, driving people to quit, bullying.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the big important detail here is that these are other school district employees that are like, this kind of treatment of the press is not professional and not okay and is sexist even.
And makes us all look bad, right? And that's in fact what the spokesperson's attorney argued in court is like, hey, this guy is the voice of the district. This guy speaks for the district. And if we release this complaint, if this gets out, it could damage his reputation. And he's the voice of the district. So it's going to damage the school district. And it's like, yeah, that might actually be true, but that's because of the conduct, not because the information was made public.
One thing that I don't quite understand and that we should say is that, this formal complaint was filed by school district employees in Madison, but then the school district's attorney ruled that it was without merit.
Parts of it, right?
Parts of it. Well, that's what I don't quite. So this complaint basically didn't go anywhere in terms of, the school district itself looking at whether the conduct of their spokesperson was violating their own rules, or let alone was he doing, what he's supposed to do, which is fostering a good relationship with the press and the public.
And it was amended. Originally, there were more people on the complaint. So it's been quite a process. And I don't think the entire story has come to light yet about what transpired over the past 2 years at the district. But what I know, what you know, as journalists in Madison, having interacted with the school district, asking them for comment, wanting to get connected, to speak with members of the administration, as is our jobs, it was difficult, I would say.
The charges in this complaint are way worse than just like ignoring reporters.
Yeah, this all sheds a little more light on what we talked about in that episode, which is that parents, anyone, members of the public who tried to get information out of the school district, as is their right under law, were just getting stonewalled. We're getting the runaround. It was taking months, if not years, to get the information because the comms department was not doing their job. And
and that long report or complaint also just said how everything had all media requests, all interview requests had to go through Tim Lamone's.
Right.
And sometimes, what I really appreciate about local government, like, with the city or the county even, they're usually pretty good about, if you call the person you need to talk to, they'll answer your questions. You don't have to just constantly go through a communication person. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, so you got to email the comms person to find out a question. And then he goes and asks, why can't you just talk to the official directly? Like, they're the expertise anyway. So that's one thing I just never understood, like, why that was a good practice.
Lots of issues there. I do not think this is the last we'll hear of this issue. Also, I haven't heard anything from the school district since this complaint was released. And
well, how could you? The spokesperson is the one it's all about. Like, who are you supposed to talk to?
That was my favorite part. Of Scott Gerard's story in the Cap Times, where he was like, I would like comment, but it's unclear who I seek comment from, since they tell me I have to talk to this guy, the spokesperson, who's currently the subject of this complaint. So I don't know who to seek comment for about the spokesperson. What a bizarre story. But, in all seriousness, it raises a lot of questions about accountability at the school district and administration and what is happening there and how this could go on for 2 years.
Can I tell you something, though, a little bit I was disappointed by?
That you weren't name checked?
Yeah. What? It's not like I haven't written anything about the school district. I know it's not that often, but like, get out of here, Tim Lamone's. For all the... We've had it out a few times. You can't call me an SOB or something just to help my cred a little?
I gotta admit, I almost texted you. I knew you were off, but I read the complaint and I searched for your name. That literally was the first thing.
What the heck? Anyway, well, I guess I gotta write more about the school district.
Yeah, this will not be the last that we hear about this or talk about the school district. And the real questions it raises about administrative control and how the next superintendent is going to manage their executive level staff and their department heads, and what kind of leadership they'll provide. So stay tuned for that.
All right, Molly, let's talk about more news. But first, I think we should take a break and hear what Bianca has planned for the weekend.
Hey, it's Friday, and summer is happening in this city. AKA, it's the perfect time for a cookout or picnic. So if this weekend you're looking for some libations to share, why not check out one of my go-tos? Cork and Bottle. It's the locally owned liquor store on East Johnson near the corner of Johnson and Patterson, and it's a wonder and a half. I love peeping their selection for new finds. My latest pick, a wholly refreshing Wisconsin-made dill-infused aquavit. It's a knockout. Pickleback? No thanks, I'm all good. They also have biodynamic wines, artsy beers, top-shelf tequilas, and CBD water. And they feel like family to me. Plus, dogs are welcome. See what I mean? Cork and Bottle is a good time. Cheers.
Let's talk about organizing your finances. Attorney Z. Usman with Usman Law has helped thousands of folks fight back against abusive debt collectors, and he wants to help you too. One thing to definitely avoid is loans with high interest from payday lenders and online loan providers. There is no cap on interest rates in Wisconsin. You can face interest rates of more than 300%. That'll cost you. If you must borrow money, look into a 401k loan if you got a retirement fund, or contact your local bank. The terms will be much better. Don't get stuck with a loan that'll haunt you for years to come. To learn the easiest way to pay things off, visit madtownlawyer.com to schedule a free call with Attorney Usman, the finance fixer. So, Molly, the news I want to talk about this week is some really kind of important and sadly rare reporting on this huge employer in town called Epic Systems. Have you heard of Epic?
Only the largest electronic health record provider in the country?
Yes. And a huge success locally, right? Out of here, started in Madison by Judy Faulkner, who's still running the place, and it started like 30 years ago, and now went from 1.5 employees, and now they have more than almost 13,000, and they're going to be hiring another 1,700 or so in the coming weeks. And Bill, you've seen that palatial campus they have out there. But Mark Eisen wrote the cover story for the June edition of Isthmus, and he really goes into what Epic has done in terms of perhaps stifling innovation in the healthcare field by the non-compete agreements that they make their workers sign. And not just their workers, but they have non-compete agreements essentially with their customers and with the consulting firms they work with. And basically what happens is you agree to work for Epic, and if you want to work in any related field, or if you want to work for any of the Epic's customers, you have to wait at least a year. It sounds like it could be 2 years in some cases.
Yeah, so the idea there, right, is to protect the intellectual property of the company, right? The idea is that, which happens a lot in tech, is that workers get poached. There's a lot of demand for tech workers, right? And so that if you have intellectual property, if you've helped develop systems for a company that they've paid you to do, that you can't just quit, take another job at a maybe a higher rate or a sweeter deal, and take all that knowledge that they paid you to develop and then give it to another company.
Which makes sense.
Right. That's the theory behind them.
Yes.
But one of the things that it raises is this actually preventing or suppressing more of a startup culture here in Madison, in that there's this big push, right, that the Madison area is going to develop a tech sector, or, to further develop its burgeoning tech sector. So, we've got this whole UW Research Park. We've got a bunch of tech startups. And don't we want companies to start here? And how do they start? Well, often it's a few people getting together with an idea of how to make something better.
I think a really choice quote from this Isthmus story is, so one longtime Epic employee talked about how Microsoft in Seattle, it spawned hundreds of startup jobs because they didn't have these really aggressive non-compete agreements. And the quote is, that doesn't happen here in the healthcare tech sector because of Epic and their tight control over their employees and also their customers and who they can hire. California, the home of Silicon Valley, they have banned non-compete agreements very famously, and that had really created a startup culture that has served the Seattle area well and has served California well. So is Madison missing out because of these non-compete agreements that Epic seems to be not the only business, but they seem to be particularly aggressive on?
Well, what's interesting, too, is I don't know if you're as big a nerd as me. You might be. But I don't know if you've been following the FTC stuff that Lena Khan is doing. But she is actually going to take this on, it seems like. So I was listening to an interview with her on another podcast.
Yes.
And she's the head of the FTC. She's this like ambitious lawyer that came in and is like, we got probs in this country with antitrust and monopolies. And she has been trying to actually get legislation and rules passed to make things a little more equitable in the economy for most of us. And one of the things she's identified is these non-competes, basically being like, this is stifling innovation. This is anti-competitive.
Yeah, I guess it's just a little disappointing. And it's good to see this enterprising reporting about Epic because, you hear a lot of positive things, but it kind of is a black box in a lot of ways to reporting.
Yeah. And they can still protect their intellectual property, right? This is just about what are those employees supposed to do for a year or two after? Have saved up enough money to go live in Fiji or something and take a year off? They're supposed to just like...
Essentially, that's what ends up happening, that you have to take a year off or else that's it. But, maybe the federal government will get involved and then Epic will have to change. I think this is an important issue, particularly here in Dane County and Madison because of Epic's success.
It's bigger than just the employees.
Yes.
It's about the entire ecosystem and economy of Madison.
We don't have non-competes, do we? We compete with everyone.
I'm not at liberty to say.
Oh, get out of it.
Just kidding.
All right. I don't know what's going on. You know what else I don't know what's going on? Have you heard? You found this. I don't know where you found this, but there's some Australian football happening in Madison, and how have we not heard about this? What is Australian football even?
I don't even know. I was hoping you would know because I looked
it up and it's like a lot of kicking and you jump on people's backs and a catch is called a specky and it seems very Australian, but apparently they're doing it at Rindell Park and maybe Old Brick, or there's a little league that is formed.
The Wisconsin Wombats. I had no idea this was an official thing, that we have this actual team, an Australian rules football team, part of the USAFL. Okay. It combines soccer, ultimate frisbee, hockey, rugby, and basketball into a sport all its own. Why are we the Wombats? We don't have Wombats.
Get this. The United States Australian Football League is the governing body for Australian rules football in the United States, created in 1996, where? Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.
Who knew? Who knew we were the home to such things? Not I.
What, to obscure Southern Hemisphere sports? We're the epicenter of it here in the United States. Good old Sunny P. So the next question is, though, the city is, might be making some big improvements to Bree Stevens to bring this pro women's soccer league in.
I heard you were excited about that.
Oh, I'm excited. Other people are excited. So how much do we get? Is the city or the state thinking about investing in sports teams? Because it seems pretty popular, these very profitable sports teams, to be getting pretty good deals on stuff.
Big Wombat's going to be lobbying the state government.
Yeah.
It's state budget time, so everybody's got their hand out. I mean,
Austro-American relations have been suffering lately. I know that. This could really mend the gap.
So who knows what's going to happen with the Brewers Stadium. Hard to even understand what all those millions would go for over there. So we're talking about publicly financing upgrades to the Brewer Stadium. Now it looks like the Packers want some because of this NFL draft that they're going to host, and they're asking for some state money for Lambeau.
Isn't the NFL and Major League Baseball highly profitable?
I was going to say, I have a very unpopular take, perhaps, but you know who makes bank off of these? The broadcasters. Why don't they chip in for it?
They do, and well, they pay a lot too. That's, I guess, a lot of these TV deals is where the real money is made. So I'd like to see if a city or any government invests in something that they get to take part in the reward too. That seems only fair.
Well, don't we benefit?
I guess less tangentially, actual ownership stake.
Like you want a check in the mail.
No, I'm just saying, okay, you want $2 million, Lambeau Stadium, then the people of Wisconsin are going to get like a 1% cut of future revenue that you collect off of these improvements.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
Socialist.
fair, right? I mean, they're the ones asking for government money. It's not me.
Oh, that exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So would you pay for the Wombats, though? That's what I want to know. What if the Wombats were like, you got to upgrade Rindall, which, come on.
Well, I think Madison and the state could do more to invest in the arts, and I'm going to call Australian football in America the arts. So
What? What? Get out of here.
I don't know. It seems like it fits the bill. Some obscure cultural.
Obscure. It combines soccer and football. Yeah. Anyway.
Listen up, Tony Evers. Fund this.
We want to know what you think, listeners. Should we? Where does it stop? Where does the buck stop? Should we finance Brewer Stadium upgrades? What about Lambeau? What about Rindall? Bree Stevens, where does it end?
It ends right here, Molly.
Yeehaw.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. Bianca Martin is your host. We're produced by Molly Stentz, me, Dylan Brogan, and this week, Lizzie Goldsmith. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. You can also get more news delivered right to your inbox from our friends at Madison Minutes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a bloke or a Sheila about us? We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then,
we're recording the roundup. My dog is chewing a bone. Can you hear him? Or is it okay?
you're fine.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Anyway.